Hey y'all, welcome back to Tobacco Leaf Legacies and welcome back to a holiday edition of Brew and Review. Okay, I know the book doesn't have a cover. I'll actually show you what the cover looks like right here. But this book is All About Christmas by Mamie R. Kreith. I read this book actually last year, but I didn't finish it in time to do a Christmas video and get it out. So I made sure to keep the book out so that I could do one this time. And I'm at my local park where there are some really cute Christmas displays, and so I thought I would bring you here and talk a little bit about this book and all about Christmas. Okay, so let's kind of start at the beginning. When Emperor Constantine established Christianity as the state religion of the Roman Empire, the persecution of the Christians came to an end. At first, Christ's birthday was not observed by his followers, for the church fathers did not want this sacred occasion put on a par with pagan carnivals. One official, Origen, especially declared against such a practice, asserting that it was sinful to keep Christ's birthday, quote, as though he were a king pharaoh. Finally, according to Saint Chrysostom, probably not saying that right either, at the request of Saint Cyril of Jerusalem, Julius I made an investigation into the matter of the date. In AD 350, December 25th was set as the most probable time. The Feast of the Nativity was first observed on this day in Rome, perhaps in 353, and from then on, the custom spread eastward. Now, we went through a period, and when I say we, I mean the world. I don't necessarily mean the states. We went through a time where Christmas was not celebrated, and if you did try to celebrate it, you were persecuted, and it was bad. It was a problem. Parliament passed an act forbidding the celebration of Christ's Nativity and other religious festivals, including Whitsuntide and Easter. I mean, can you imagine? It's interesting to go back and read books like this that talk about this history, because we just think, oh, well, this is how it is, and so it's been this way, and, whatever. But it didn't. So, I mean, can you imagine being told you can't hang that wreath, and you can't put up a Christmas tree, and you can't decorate, and you can't do that? Because at that time, and this goes back to the 1600s, they couldn't celebrate Christmas. And while I'm here at this beautiful nativity scene, let's talk about that for a second. This Christmas custom, which has become very popular in recent years here in the States, now of course this was 1954 again, is said to have originated in the church perhaps as early as the 8th century. It was St. Francis of Assisi, I think I'm saying that right, who popularized the reenactment of the birth of the Christ child as part of the Christmas observance, which he set up a simple manger scene at the little town of Greccio, I think that's how we say that, Italy in 1224. Okay, while we are over here by these really cool looking, they're displays, but they kind of look like holiday cards, right? Let's talk about the first Christmas cards. It was in the 1840s that the earliest Christmas cards were printed. And when you read in the book, there's 3 or 4 people that they try to credit with having the first Christmas card that was sent, right? But ultimately, it says the London Times in 1884 tried to settle the dispute, and after investigation stated that credit for the first Christmas card belongs rightly to John Calcutt Horsley, a close friend of Prince Albert who set up a Christmas tree for the royal children, asked Horsley to sign a Yule greeting to send his friends instead of writing letters. So y'all, Christmas cards go back a long time to the 1800s. Look at these cool designs. And look, I even found the Minions. Now, they didn't get Bob's eyes right, but I mean, it's still super cute, right? And look at this one. We've got a lot of cool IP in this one. Grinch, Frosty, Night Before Christmas, Snoopy. Oh, it's awesome. Let's talk about who printed the first Christmas cards here in the States. The Marcus Card Company is credited with introducing Christmas greetings in the United States. Because of their immediate popularity here, Louis Prang started such a business at Roxbury, Massachusetts in 1874. When he produced his first Christmas cards with simple flower designs and the words "Merry Christmas," Prang wondered about public reaction to them. After all, this was a very new thing that people didn't know anything about. But his product soon became so popular that by 1881, he was turning out 5 million per year, and this became the major branch of this business. Have you ever wondered where Christmas seals started? Now, this is something that I did not know about. I thought it was very interesting when I read the book here. The idea of these started with a postal clerk, Einar Holbol. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but he was born in Denmark in 1865. And he remembered that there were a lot of children that were very needy in his area in the country, and that they were suffering from tuberculosis, which, remember, that was a very deadly disease that people would contract. He realized that they needed hospital treatment, but he knew there were not nearly enough institutions to take care of them. So he wanted to do something to try to help them. Why not have a special Christmas stamp printed to sell for just 1 penny? It could be placed on the mail in addition to the regular postage, and the funds from the sale used to build a hospital for the children of Copenhagen. He started telling his friends about it, and then other people got very interested in his project. So in 1904, the first Christmas seals were printed and sold at the regular post offices in Denmark. That season, more than 4 million stamps were sold, bringing in about $18,000 in American money. And eventually, interest just grew more and more, especially as the idea made its way here to the States. For example, in the early 1900s, President Theodore Roosevelt and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court gave their endorsement for those. And eventually, the Red Cross got involved as well in 1908, and their total sales for that year were $135,000. Now, there's a lot of other history that goes along with the Christmas seals. I encourage you to look it up because I did not know the history at all, and I thought that it was really fascinating when I read into it in this book. Alrighty, I have found some huge ornaments out here. So let's talk about ornaments. Until World War II opened in 1939, we imported all of our Christmas ornaments, tree decorations, from Germany, which I did not know that. They were made mostly in the, and I will probably not say this right, Thuringian Mountains in the town of Lausch. If y'all are German or know this, please correct me so I know how to say it. Entire families often worked 15 hours a day making these ornaments. Then at the end of each week, their products were taken to Sonneberg, 13 miles away. Because of the scarcity of such ornaments here during the war years, the Corning Glass Company began to make them. With their improved methods, they could make them more quickly and more cheaply than the imported ones. Now, the town of Wellsboro in northern Pennsylvania is the center of the industry in the United States. Now, whether that last part is, accurate today, you got to remember, y'all, this book was printed in 1954. So everything that is in the book that I'm telling you, as far as that kind of information, was as of this date. Now, at this point, we know that, of course, other countries and China and just all sorts of stuff has taken over, so that may not be true. But I thought the history of where the ornaments came from and how these German ones that were made in this particular area, that was a very big deal in that time period. Speaking of ornaments, ornaments go on Christmas trees. Again, as of this book, 1954, the largest Christmas tree is said to be in, a live oak that is 300 years old that stands above the banks of the Northeast Cape Fear in Hilton Park at Wilmington, North Carolina. Let's talk just a bit about Christmas trees. Primitive tribes revered nature and believed that everything had life. Therefore, by legends, they tried to account for various natural phenomena. They revered trees and used them not so much with the adorning of their homes, but rather for bringing the world of nature indoors. The Egyptians, for example, during their winter solstice rites, took the green date palms, significant of life triumphant over death, indoors. During the Saturnalia, I think I'm saying that right, Romans trimmed trees with trinkets and small masks of Bacchus. Sometimes they placed 12 candles on a tree with an image of the sun god at the tip. Here is something else that is really very fascinating. Look up the Roman holiday, the Saturnalia. Look that up, because I'm going to tell you there are a lot of our Christmas traditions that start with the Romans. And here's something that a lot of people don't like to hear when we start talking about Christmas. A lot of our traditions come from pagan holidays. I hate to break that to you, that upsets a lot of people, but it is very true, because let's face it, the pagan holidays were here before. I mean, it goes back thousands and thousands of years. So a lot of times what the early people did, early Christians, like, whoever you want to term them, they took these holidays and they said, well, I don't want to celebrate what they're celebrating exactly, but I like how they're doing it. So let's see if we can take this and change it better to suit us and what we believe and how we want to celebrate. And so that is just one of the celebrations of the Romans that is really, really cool to look up, because you will find out, like I said, that there are just so many of our holiday traditions today that come from them. Here's another little tidbit about Christmas trees, a little story that I thought was kind of cool. The great reformer Martin Luther loved holiday celebrations even when he was little. The story goes that after he had married and had a family, one Christmas Eve he was walking home through the forest. Luther was deeply impressed that night by the myriads of stars in the winter sky and by the beauty of the stately evergreens. When Luther reached home, he tried to explain the glory of the scene to his wife and children, but words failed him. So he went out, cut down a small fir, and placed lighted candles on it to represent the starry sky above the stable that night that Christ was born. One of Luther's chief desires was to make ordinary people understand and appreciate Yuletide joys. Although he is said to have started the custom of lighted Christmas trees, the idea spread slowly and was more popular in Protestant regions than in Catholic lands. I thought that story was really cool, and I would like to think that that's probably one of the main origins of our typical Christmas tree today. Why, yes, I am in a Santa sleigh. And those are his reindeer. Okay, so just some quick things here about Santa. There was actually a Saint Nicholas. I know most of us have kind of heard that our entire life, but there was a real person. He was born around 280. Now, he's another person I encourage you to look up on Google and look up the history about him, because it really is very fascinating where our, quote, Santa Claus came from. And I love the fact that it was based on a real person who really did try to do some very good things to help people. Also, did you know that there is a Christmas Florida? And I will admit that I wanted to film this video in Christmas Florida just because I thought that that would be, rather appropriate. However, it was just too far away, and to be honest, they didn't have as much cutesy stuff as this park here had. But nonetheless, it is a destination here in Florida because people love to make the trip to take their Christmas cards over there so that they will be postmarked Christmas. I think we all know A Visit from St. Nicholas poem that Dr. Clement C. Moore wrote. It was in 1822 that he read the poem to his children for the first time. There was a visitor in the home, and he was so delighted with the stanzas that he copied them. Next year, the poem was published in the Troy, New York Sentinel, and that is how that particular poem got so popular. Also, our modern version of Santa Claus, he was further developed when the well-known cartoonist Thomas Nast pictured him in Harper's Illustrated Weekly in 1863 in a red fur-trimmed suit. I had mentioned that there was a Christmas Florida. There is also a Santa Claus, Indiana. And in Wilmington, New York, there is a village called North Pole, or Santa's Workshop, and it was completed in 1949. All right, I'm about at the end of the video here, but I did want to talk about Rudolph. I'm going to encourage you to look up the origins of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Okay, hold up. I know I said that I was encouraging you to go check out the story about Rudolph, but I was kind of running out of camera battery and all that, and so I decided when I got home, I was like, you know what, let me just show you some pictures and go ahead and give you a little bit more information about the story of Rudolph. Robert May was born in 1905 and grew up in a wealthy New York Jewish family. After graduating from Dartmouth, he worked at Macy's before moving to Nebraska for a couple years. He married Evelyn Hayman in 1928 and then moved to Georgia before returning to New York City as the sales manager for Butterick Company. When the Depression hit, he was forced to move to Chicago to find work, which he did as an advertising copywriter from Montgomery Ward. In 1939, Robert was asked to write a Christmas story as part of an advertising campaign to attract customers to the store. He chose a reindeer because it was his daughter Barbara's favorite animal at the zoo. Robert had been an outcast growing up, and his experiences shaped Rudolph's story. His wife Evelyn was very sick during the creating of the story. She would pass before he finished it. Once released, the story was a success. The store handed out around 2.5 million copies that Christmas. In 1947, Sewell Avery, CEO of Montgomery Ward, gave Robert the full rights to the story. He was able to create and sell all sorts of Rudolph merchandise. His brother-in-law, Johnny Marks, wrote the song that we all know and love, and it became a #1 hit in 1949 when Gene Autry recorded it. In closing, guys, I hope you found this interesting. I really like doing the book review videos because not only do I get to read so many really cool books, I get to learn so much information, like with this Christmas one. I looked up so much stuff and, put pictures and everything in here, and it's fun to share it with others. It's just such really cool information. Thank you for watching the videos and supporting me like you've done. I know it's been kind of quiet this year because we know I'm waiting until I can get to my mountain home. Hopefully that is coming next year. That is the goal. I am finishing up with getting the parents' house ready to rent, and then as soon as I can get that done and get somebody in there renting, which probably shouldn't take very long, then it's go time. And then I can start looking and sharing videos, about that with you. And I'm just so excited. So please make sure to have your notifications on, to like the video. Even if you don't want to comment on something, that's fine. Just, go ahead and like it, share it with others. I'm still a new channel as far as YouTube is concerned. And of course, everything still runs on algorithms. And so if YouTube is not seeing comments or likes or any of this kind of stuff, then my videos just kind of get shuffled down, and then then there isn't anyone new to share anything with. So anyway, if you think about it, give it a like, make sure notifications on, the subscriptions and all that kind of stuff. It's just greatly appreciated, greatly appreciated. I hope everyone has a happy Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful new year. And I hope you sit down going into the new year to think about what kinds of things do you want to change. I think I've said before, I don't really do resolutions exactly, but I do like to sit down and think about, okay, what are some things I would like to change for this year? Do I want to change some things physically that I'm doing? Do I want to come up with do I want to be a little bit better disciplined in, different tasks that I need to do? Do I want to be a little more introspective? Do I want to read a bit more? There's just so much. So don't really focus on resolutions, but definitely take some time to yourself. Holiday seasons get so crazy and so busy, and just remember to take some time for yourself. Speaking of time, you know what's coming. Time is precious. Carpe diem. Seize the day. I'll see you next time.